Freedom Fighters, I'm coming back at you with another Manic Monday rant. What's been going on, man? Hope you all had a good weekend and football's back. Yeah, football. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan. Sue me, right? But yeah, I know it's tough. It's tough being awake and knowing that, they hate you. They hate me. They hate us. In the first game that came back, the season opener, they had the black national anthem they started with. And it's like, is this where we gotten to now where like everyone's got to have an anthem and like the Hispanic anthem or something, even though Hispanics don't even have one. And I guess it's because Hispanics really aren't even a minority anymore. They're like, what, like 35, 40% of the country and expected to be, like, take over by like 2050 or something. So I guess they don't even do that. But what about like Asians or Indians or something like that? What about like, I'm not talking about H-1B visa Indians. I'm talking like Native American Indians. Um, they don't have their own anthem. It's only blacks who constantly play this woe is us racism card, and they have to be coddled and gently petted on their head and given little protection trophies and yeah, we'll let you sing your anthem and do all this stuff. And they painted these sayings in the end zone. It was like end racism and love one another and stuff like that, which is a great message. Um, it's a good message, but they don't, mean it. They don't care about anti-white racism. They actually say that doesn't exist. They've written articles about, racism, reverse racism isn't real, and you can't actually be racist towards white people. Um, so that's not what end racism means. Love one another. That doesn't mean they love you. They don't love your white or European heritage. They don't care about that. We've talked so many times about the destruction of the West and white countries. So that's not what it means. They don't love that. They mean, love them. Give us money. Put the spotlight on us. Give us stuff. Give us more, time on TV. Give us sponsorships. Give us, more and more and more. But yeah, I mean, I know it's the bread and circuses, and I guess if I could put a stop to it, I would. But people would fight to the death to put a stop to it. But if I could pull the plug on the so-called Matrix, and like all the televisions and electronics is fraud. Like I EMP'd the whole world. There's like a master key, plug, and you can pull it. Maybe not, all the phones and all that stuff because, you still want to, you would never essentially get in contact with your, abroad family or, anyone long distance ever again. Go back to the Stone Age. But, mainly like social media and just the filth that's on TV today and stuff. And like if you had that master key outlet that would just shut it all down, I going to pull the plug and to use since I'm talking about football, to use like a metaphorical analogy, as you're going to the outlet to pull the plug on the technology in this clown world matrix we're all living in, it would be like they would horse collar you. Your family, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors, they'd be running at you, freedom, no, don't do it, pulling at your neck, pulling at your by your hair, pulling your earlobes, anything they can get a hold of, hanging off your clothes, don't do it. And you're just like, nah, I've got to pull the plug. We got to stop. And I talked about this before, and I think it was one of my videos. You're not gonna wake up the normies, and I talked about the Mr. Smith effect, Agent Smith from the Matrix. How people are just like in the movie where you could be talking to somebody and as long as it's about the weather, small talk. Oh, it was a nice day out today, wasn't it? Yeah, it was, sunny and it wasn't too hot. We had a nice little breeze. Perfect day, 75 degrees. Um, the flowers smell great and everything's just wonderful. And then, you talk about a controversial topic, you bring up 9/11 or, something else, you bring up politics, and then all of a sudden they turn into Agent Smith. Just like in the movie, how he can, take form of the body of, whoever, they're talking to or whatever. But that's how people do. They revert into their programming, and you better believe, man, they would do anything to stop you from pulling that plug. They definitely don't want it, that they want it to continue. People, I've noticed this, man. People love their cage. They even if they know they're caged, even if they know they're running on the hamster wheel and their little water bottle, and they just want to suck from the teat of the water bottle and their little reality. And the normies would fight you to the death if they knew you had the ability to end the bread and circuses and end the show essentially, and revert to reality. Like the reality is the truth, but they don't want it. And like I said, man, I'm guilty. Every once in a while, we're guilty, man. Like I just want to sit down sometimes and um, just hang out, relax, and sports were a thing that kind of just brought us all together. And I mean, I only watch football and hockey. I mean, I like the contact sports and stuff like that, but I can get into a little bit of everything. It just depends what it is. I mean, if it's like the finals of any sport, I can watch it. Or if it's like, the championship game, if it's the World Series, I don't really like baseball, but the World Series, I'll say, okay, I'll watch the two best teams go at it. Or even like tennis or golf, which are like more boring ones. If it's the Wimbledon or something like that, and it's the final match, I'm like, all right, let's see the top two, tennis extraordinaires go at it, and then it's usually pretty entertaining, and it's cool. Same with the Olympics, like ping pong or something like random like that. I actually, I mean, I used to play ping pong. I was pretty good at it. Not like sports wise or professionally or on a team or anything. Just like back in school days in the rec room, we had a ping pong table and I was freaking punishing everybody. And we had a one at the pool as well. And like, yeah, man, I was really good at ping pong. I'm surprised I never pursued like looking into that, but yeah, I guess it never really sparked an interest to go that far anyway. Anyway, these Asians are freaking crazy at the ping pong if you ever watch that in the Olympics, but um like curling and stuff like that too. That's just really interesting. I mean, I got into it during I guess that was the Winter Olympics and I was watching the curling and I think I watched the finals of that and I can't even remember who won the gold medal, but that was pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, every once in a while, man, you just want to like come home, sit down, and I mean, I don't drink anymore, so um, that analogy doesn't work for me. But sit down, have a beer, grab pizza, whatever, some chicken wings, and relax. So I understand it, man, but at the same time, I understand that's the um avenue or whatever they're using to enslave us. And it's gone down that way all through history. I mean, we've talked about the collapse of Rome, and that's literally what kept Rome going. was the bread and circuses of the Colosseum and everything like that. And the politicians were talking about it. They were like, how do we go about keeping Rome afloat, all this stuff. And it was just keep the games going, keep the alcohol flowing, keep the back then they didn't have you know cheeseburgers and pizza and chicken wings and all that. So I guess that was their thing, a loaf of bread and some olive oil to dip it in or something, and alcohol was enough to cover it. um but yeah, man, it's just like the whole thing is an analogy, I guess, of like to where we are and the sleeping masses, and it goes. This is a wide covering thing, I'm always talking about the left or whatnot, but I recently posted something, about the MAGA cult and how I used to be MAGA and the things that, we believed in and we didn't get and all that stuff. And there's been no e-files, no arrest whatsoever. What happened to all these investigations and stuff? But whenever you talk to these, people who are still MAGA, who are still backing them, they always find an excuse. Um, and it's at least it's not Kamala, right? And we talked a lot about COVID and all these events that happened, and it outed a lot of people. I lost a lot of respect for a lot of people and a lot of hope that I had left in America. The last little bit of hope that I had in America, and that people were going to resist and not just fall in line. Um, but that's what they did, and all you, like I said, man, some of your family, some of your friends, and definitely your neighbors and your coworkers, they're going to give up their guns, man. They're going to give them up. They're going to lock down again. They're going to bow down. Um, when the troops show up, which is why, they're putting the troops in the streets, and they're getting you ready. I'm like I say, I don't have the crystal ball of what's happening. People are saying, it's the verge of World War III or whatnot, and they're putting troops in the streets for protection and all this stuff. But meanwhile, cleaning up crime in the streets, and like I said, I feel like they're going into that planeteer, um, utopia, or dystopia, not a utopia, definitely not a utopia for us. Um, and yeah, I feel like it's just gonna go into that dystopia of planeteer and all the stuff we've talked about, and the civil unrest that's gonna unfollow and all that, and they just need troops in the street, and it's basically like the Gray State trailer. I mean, literally like what we've talked about. But man, I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. Let me know what you guys think about it. And do you guys still watch football and all that? And I mean, when the whole first like kneeling and BLM thing happened, like I boycotted it for like a year or two when it first went down. Um, but just like I've talked many times over before about this whole, oh, you go woke and you go broke, and I've told you they've never gone broke, right? Like, name all the companies that you like, Bud Light, we've talked about it. They're still here. They're still profitable businesses. They're still making money. And they still hate you, and they're just lying in wait till the culture changes. They're going to continue to fight the culture war, and they're going to do it again. And they're going to keep doing it until your opinion, they hate, and just like the NFL I was talking about, they've also added LGBTQ cheerleaders and stuff like that, because they know they're almost too big to fail. Like, a boycott's not going to work unless everybody literally just shuts off the TV. Like I said, you have to pull that matrix plug. Otherwise, you know, it's just too big to fail. It's not going to stop. And ultimately, like what I said, it's going to lead to a civil war. It's going to lead to the point where people just had enough, and Their boycotts aren't going to work. All that stuff's not going to work. You're going to have to make it stop. And only then, when the population comes together and actually wants to do something about it. But we're so far away from that. Um, like I said, I mean, look around, talk to your coworkers, talk to your family, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors. How many people are really willing to risk it for freedom? And, I'll go into that some other time again, I guess. But till the next one, man, you know what it is. We are on our own. Nobody's coming to save us. So get right with God, because only God can save you. Freedom fighters out.